Hey guys, Rich Mixed here. How's it going? So, I uploaded a video for the first time just the other week. And you know what? It did surprisingly well. And you know what? I figured I'm gonna make just a bunch of videos recapping basically my kind of basic synopsis of 2 years. This video itself is just going to talk about my endeavors into music, all that fun jazz, and how I got to where I am now. And then I'm going to make words. I had this all planned out in my head. Then I'm gonna make a video basically detailing how I beat my depression, my all too real depression, which I've made a video on before. And of course, anything that I do mention in this video will be linked down below in the description. So if you want more context or you want to hear the music that I'm talking about, then you can find the links below and stuff like that, so you can have an idea of what I'm talking about and, I don't know, listen along, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, and then talk about my small stint with streaming and all that stuff, and one more surprise story, which I'll wait for that one. And then, of course, and at the end of all these videos, I will, at the end, once the last video of all these comes out, I'm going to then announce my schedule going forward. Yes, I'm going to bring back the weekly vlogs. Yes, I'm going to bring back Nerd Talk, Movie Destructors, and I'm going to bring Top 5s back into this whole thing. So those are the 4 main things I'll be having up, and I'm going to have and try and have weekly uploads and figure all that out. That's going to be fun to do. I mean, I got a new phone. It's a Samsung Galaxy A51. It's got a really good camera. Definitely better than my laptop. And, yeah. So, here we are. And let's get started now. So let's rewind the clock back. It's 2018. I'm still a senior in high school. And me and my best friend Casey decided, why don't we try and make a rock band? And that's kind of where all this started. Now, of course, before that, like back 2016, I had expressed an interest, 2014 I had expressed an interest in making music. Wasn't really able to do anything with that until about 2016 when I got my MIDI keyboard, which I love to death. And then I experimented with a little bit of music production, but nothing really ever came of that. And it was just kind of something that just kind of fell flat on its face. And so, then I just kind of moved on from that. And then 2018 comes along, and me and my friend Casey want to start a band. Me as the lead vocalist / rhythm guitar, him on bass guitar, with sometimes keyboard, but we were struggling to find a drummer for the longest time. That was the real challenge. I think the interesting part. But we almost had a full crew. Now, I'm not going to say names just because privacy reasons, all that fun jazz. So, don't go asking me these questions. Well, who is this person? Who is that person in the comments? Because that's none of your guys' business. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But we had someone who was going to be on violin because we took cues from Yellowcard before Yellowcard decided to show off the world that they were actual scum and whatever. And then one of our friends' dads could play drums really, really, really good. And so he was going to be our drummer, but then scheduling issues came about, and ultimately the whole thing just kind of fell apart. And so that brings us to about I think about September of 2018. September 2018, late August, early September. I'm sitting at home looking at the DVDs because I had a DVD player, and I was just looking at my DVDs, and I realized there was one movie that I bought but I had never watched. That movie being Straight Outta Compton. Now, for those of you who have no idea what that is, Straight Outta Compton basically is a biopic of the group NWA. It was a pretty decent film. Maybe not the most accurate film of all time. Obviously, biopics rarely, if ever, are going to be extremely accurate, but that's just the nature of the beast. If you go into a biopic expecting it to be accurate, you're kind of an idiot. I guess, I don't know. But in any case. So then, I just really started to take a liking to rap music. Now, mind you, I could rap. Because one of my favorite bands of all time, Linkin Park, a lot of their stuff features a lot of rapping from Mike Shinoda. An album I listened to a lot during that year was Mike Shinoda's Post Traumatic. And so I had a fair dose of rapping in my system. And then NWA was something different. So I started listening to NWA, and then eventually that led me to start listening to Dr. Dre and a little bit of Snoop, and then a lot of Eminem, because, yeah, I was pretty basic at the time. And so I decided I want to start making rap music. I started getting into producing beats again. I started getting into all that stuff again. And I tried to start figuring out an identity for what I want to do with all this, right? And that's when I come up with the idea of White Boy Rick. I'm on my way to my friend Brendan's house, who also makes music. I'll link his SoundCloud in the description, like with all the people I'll be mentioning. It's under this rap pseudonym White Leech. Anyways, though, that aside. So I'm on my way to his house just to hang out, and that's when I'm walking and I get the idea for what I'm going to call myself. I was thinking about a movie that I'd heard about. I believe it was the year it came out, something like that. That was White Boy Rick. And that would ultimately be what became my rap name. And so, fast forward a little bit, I want to make just an EP with 3 songs. Out of these 3 songs, out of these 3 songs, I think one of them didn't make its way onto what would become the White Boy Rick LP. And so, after making these 3 songs, I then decided, you know what? Instead of an EP, why don't I just do an LP? At this point, I've discovered something called Muse, a distribution service. I can't say that word. Distribution. There we go. Distribution service. It's free to use. Nowadays, there's a pro version that you can use, but that's optional. There's still very much so a free version that you can use. But what I recommend using in Muse, never use a Muse. If you are able to, use DistroKid. Excuse me. Use DistroKid at least. It's a good service. It works great. I love it. Anyways, though, I'm not sponsored by DistroKid, mind you, or any of that. There's no sponsors in here. Although that would be nice to be sponsored by them. Just saying. Hit me up, guys. That'd be pretty cool. Just saying. Anyways, though, that aside. And so, I began work on the White Boy Rick LP. And I have a lot of songs that are going on there, a lot of things in life influencing a lot of songs and lyrics, and of course my ever so growing love of Eminem influencing a fair amount of tracks and thematics of what I talk about. And so then it comes time for me to get ready to upload this album, this 14-track LP. And it's set to go onto SoundCloud, it's set to go on everything, and then I find out on the day of release that it was rejected on all major streaming services, so it ended up only being released on SoundCloud. In a retrospective, I think that was a blessing in disguise, because if that was my first foot forward, that would have been utterly terrible and pretty embarrassing if you ask me. But yeah, so it ended up being only on SoundCloud. Now this is the one thing that I'm not going to link below, just because like if you want to listen to it, you can go look for it yourself. But it is probably my worst project I've ever released, in my personal opinion. I think it's the weakest. I think it's the most cringy. It's just a bad project, with maybe a couple moments of like, that's interesting. And then it was around this time, around this period where, leading up to the release, when I would listen to a little known hip hop artist. You may know him as Mr. Kanye West, Mr. I Am a God, Mr. I'm Gonna Run for President 2020, Mr. I'm Bipolar. I don't know how many more names I could throw on him, but you guys know who Kanye West is. He's kind of a big deal. But anyways, so I hear the song Heartless for the first time, and something just clicked with me about that song, and I listened to it more, and as soon as I listened to 808s and Heartbreak from beginning to end, then I started to listen to Kid Cudi. So I listened to Man on the Moon, The End of Days, then I listened to more Kanye West. I listened to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I listened to The Life of Pablo, Yeezus, Ye, which mind you is my favorite Kanye record of all time, Don't At Me. And Kanye West started to have a huge impact on my music. So then there was a small fusion between my Eminem influence and my Kanye influence with the song When It's Gone, which is, if you can't tell, was inspired by the song When I'm Gone by Eminem. Great song, mind you. And it had an 808 kind of aesthetic, a lot of synths in it, some 808 kicks and stuff like that. There was a lot of reverb, a lot of stuff like that, and it was a very spacious, very atmospheric beat, but it took a lot of inspiration from 808s. And so that was where my Kanye influence really started to come in, slowly but surely. And then the next song that I would then release publicly on major streaming services would be called YU, which was a very much lo-fi sounding song, which took more cues from Kanye and more melodic artists. And I was experimenting with auto-tune. And this would lead me into where I would begin working on an EP. It was going to have some skits, it was going to be very dark. And it was originally going to be called A-Track, because I thought that's what those old cassettes were called, but then I found out they were called 8 tracks. So then I changed the name to 8-Track, but then since I didn't feel the title 8-Track Untitled anymore for the project, I called it 8-Track A Case File. And as it went along and as I made it, I started to develop more as an artist, and I came up with the idea of having multiple personalities, multiple alter egos. Now this is very common for hip-hop artists. Eminem's got them, Nicki Minaj has got them, just to name a few. I know there's other, Tyler the Creator's another famous example of people that have multiple alter egos within their music. But anyways, that's besides the point. So then, we're into this point, this part of the whole shindig of it, I guess. I don't know. This is a pretty long ass video. I do apologize to anyone who's gonna be watching this when it drops. If it drops late at night, I don't know when it'll be coming out. Anyways though, so let's just keep going on with this. So, I had a narrative, which it was very loose, and I ultimately dropped it to give songs from the perspective of this alter ego I would call Cutthroat, which was name dropped in the second track of the record. Now, this record is pretty subpar in comparison to what I would be releasing later on down the road, but that's the part of growth. You're not going to drop, like, no one's going to drop Good Kid, Mad City as their first record. No one's going to do that. That's ridiculous. And it's around this time, of course, I started listening to Kendrick Lamar as well. Started to get into his music a little bit, and you can hear aspects of that. I felt like I had to prove myself by making a trap beat because I'd only done boom bap at that point, so the song Respect came from that. There have been plenty of scrap songs throughout the time, basically the songs that ended up on this record were Be the Greatest, Truth, The Case File, Be the Greatest Remix, Hunger, Respect, and The Funk. Probably the worst song on the record, next to the remix. Those are the two worst songs on the entire record. Probably the most cringy, I guess, thing on the record, in my opinion, is probably Truth, because it was inspired by Kamikaze, which at the time I thought was a great record. In retrospective, I hate the album. It's just nothing more than a temper tantrum from Eminem. Fight me about it. Yes, I do watch the Needle Drop, mind you, but I don't agree with him on everything. But that's besides the point. So let's keep on going with this. Let's keep on going. So, I released this record, and for the first time, it's an actual, like, collection of songs that I've put out. So it wasn't just singles. And it had a feature from my friend Vixel. I'm not gonna say his actual name because he's an anonymous artist, and so I respect him. But anyway, so I'm friends with a guy named Vixel. His artist name is Vixel. Link in the description for his Spotify. So go check him out. He's pretty fucking good, in my personal opinion. But anyways though, so he was featured on Respect, and that record dropped, and not long after I would drop a single named King, which when I was getting ready to drop the record, I didn't think it was good enough. The song King was good enough. In retrospective, I would have put it on the EP, but it's whatever. And that song, mind you, took heavy cues from Kanye's Black Skinhead. But yeah, so King came out, and then soon after that, I would start releasing singles for my next album, which would be called 8-Track Damon Grimes. The next major persona for me to start to unpack my more emotional, more serious, more introspective side. And so the first single for that record to come out was, and this is where my Kendrick influence started to come out very heavily, because at this time I was listening to a lot of good Kid, Mad City, and I was starting to listening to more To Pimp a Butterfly. To Pimp a Butterfly, by the way, is my favorite hip-hop album of all time. I think it's a phenomenal record, but I'm not here to gush about Kendrick Lamar and his genius in this video. And so, 2018, which took heavy cues from Swimming Pools, comes out, and then CJO, an aunt to my best friend Casey, and I know how great of a friend he was for me and how helpful he was for me. And then, mind you, this isn't 2019. This is 2019. I don't know if I've been mentioning dates or whatever, so this is 2019. This is about August of 2019, or about this time of year, last year. Wow, that record's been out for a year. Holy shit. Anyways though, well, 2018 came out in October. The song 2018 came out in October. I'm confusing myself now. Anyways though, so, and then I released the song Menacing, which took heavy cues from Post Malone's Take What You Want From Me, featuring Ozzy Osbourne and Travis Scott. Love that song. Fantastic song, if you ask me. And yeah. And then it would be a while before I'd release any more singles. My next single would be Breaking Down. This would be the first single that I would release on DistroKid. And then, leading up to that, I got ready to release technically my first album on streaming services. That being 8-Track Damon Grimes, which if you listen to the record, keep in mind it is meant to be as a whole car ride, like a night drive. So that's kind of the whole thing with like interview clips put in throughout it. I thought it was really well done. I enjoyed it, and at the time of the recording, it's my best complete project I have out. Anyways, so I would then release a song that was more experimental called Interconnected, and And then a while after that, I would then release the first single for my next album, called A Track Untitled. Yeah, I know, I ditched the name for A Track at Case File, and then I brought it back for this record because I thought it worked. This record, I don't want to get too much into it, I don't want to give away too much, but it's taking a lot of cues from Kendrick. Has a lot of funk elements, a lot of jazz elements to it, a lot of lo-fi elements, a lot of everything that I've really been doing this whole time now. It's gonna be my most complete work. It's gonna be my best work. And I've got 3 singles out for it, those being Suburban Paradise, featuring NSB, check him out, links in bio, as always, and Letting You Go, and then Untitled. And those are the singles that I've released thus far. That's everything I've released thus far. And I've got at least half that record done, at least half of it. And I'm proud of what I've managed to do, and what I've managed to put together. And there's some great songs in there. And honestly, I'm excited for the future. And I'm really just looking forward to being able to have more music coming out, and also be able to put more videos out onto this channel, because YouTube is a love that I have always had, and I'm glad to just be back and have the ability to be back. And so, yeah, that brings us about to the end of the video. Before I do my whole outro thing and all that fun jazz that I always do, I'm gonna shout out some people I've already mentioned, of course, just reminder to check them out, and people who I think you should go listen to, even though they're not really the greatest right now. I think they have the potential for greatness, and I think they're all worth a listen. These are people that I've either worked with in one way, shape, or form, or people who I've made beats with. So basically just people I've worked with in general. But obviously check out Vixel, White Leech, check out NSB, check out Halen, check out JBZ, check out Jay, also check out, I believe it's known as West, he goes by Westside, and also check out MCM. And those are the people whose names come off the top of my head right now. I know there's other people, and whoever they are, and I will also link them down below in the description. So even if I didn't mention you by name, and I've worked with you and stuff like that, and I really fuck with your music, your link's gonna be down below in the description, because I ain't gonna leave you guys high and dry. I got 89 subscribers here. Thank you guys, by the way, for joining. That honestly was like, when I saw the subscriber count jump after I uploaded a video, I was literally, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, what? This is happening? I thought it was the craziest thing. But anyways, that aside, that's my journey with music thus far. Next video, I'm going to be tackling a more serious subject, and it's a follow-up video to my all too real depression. But until then, you guys know me. I'm Rich Mixed. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share this out, check out the links in the description, check out other videos on my channel. If you like this, you might like other stuff I've done too. And if you're curious what those things that I was talking about earlier in the beginning of the video are, you can go and look in the playlist and look through my videos, and you can go see what they are. Once again, if you want a reminder of what's going to be coming back, hopefully next week, where I'm going to be having the return of the weekly vlogs, return of the nerd show of Nerd Talk, and Movie Destructor is going to come back, and I'm going to bring top 5s. Well, Nerd Talk related top 5s, and just normal top 5s in general. And then maybe other random content I decide to drop. Maybe I'll put music videos out. Interconnected, I have a music video edited and stuff like that. I just have never put it out. If you guys would be interested in seeing it, I can totally drop it on this channel. Just let me know down below in the comments. And if there's something that when I do bring Nerd Talk next week, because I know what I want to talk about for that episode. and it's going to be a response to a One Piece channel. Because I figured since my first Nerd Talk video that I made, which was related to One Piece, talking about the main character Luffy, once again, you can go find that playlist. It'll probably be in the cards or something like that, but go check out that if you really want to. And but basically, any idea, anything you want me to talk about in that series, just let me know, and I will try, and I will go cover it. Anyways though, thank you all for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. And until next time, Rich Mixed out.